What is going on, guys? Just got back. Well, actually got back a few days ago. There we go. So just got back from a few days ago. I was gone for the past 3 weeks in the Cayman Islands, which is absolutely amazing because we were doing some coral restoration project. So out doing like kind of helping restore the reefs and surveying sites, and yeah, it was really cool. Did night diving for the first time, so there's gonna be a video on that coming out. Also, the coral spawn was absolutely amazing. What is going on, guys? What is going on, Curious Reaper? Sorry about the stream saying it was starting earlier. I haven't live streamed on my phone in so long. The disasters. I figured I'd do it from here. What's going on, Prolific Breed? So super cool. Then was in Orlando for 2 weeks in Macna, and we were stranded there for a little bit because we had good old Hurricane Dorian, so all kinds of fun stuff. So it's been pretty crazy the last few weeks. It's like the longest I've ever waited in my life. Telegram JCS Reefing, what's up, guys? So overall, the tanks did pretty good without me. Ignore the disaster as we prepare for moving and getting the house. I want to do a little bit of a tank update, just to kind of show it. So the only one kind of negative here is I do have some little purple clove polyps starting to take over a little bit. So that's one of the things leading me to use new rock and new scape in the new tank. Aside from those, all the corals in this tank are mostly happy. This guy sadly is not. He's fairly pale, and I think he's getting too much light. And that one is an Anacropora, so super cool coral. So that one's not quite as happy. Aside from that, most of the other corals fared pretty well without me the last couple weeks. I'm just streaming for my cell phone today. Also testing out this little clip that I got from Sea Dreams Aquarium. So little clip. So far it actually works pretty good. I wish your tank looked this good after holiday. It's kind of funny when you go away on a trip for a while. Thank you. When you see your tank every day, you don't notice differences. When you leave for a couple weeks and come back, then you actually will notice a difference, and that's kind of cool because you see growth on stuff. Like for instance, if you look right there, that one is, I don't know if it's like a strawberry shortcake, whatever the heck it's called, but that didn't have all those little branches, and it's encrusting down. It got little sprouts up, so it's all these cool little things that you don't normally see. And if I look in the back there, that guy is getting tons of new little branches on it. So just let me zoom in. No, it doesn't. So tons of cool stuff that normally you don't notice. This guy in the middle is a bit paler. It looks like there's one branch that's kind of biting the dust. So overall, I'm gonna say the tank did pretty darn well considering without me here, which is good to see. I had my parents kind of alternating, taking turns staying here, and basically told them to feed Nori for once a day. I borrowed this giant water bin, so this is my normal bin, which is 15 gallons. This one's 50 gallons, so I had this filled up, and that was my ATO while I was away. The tank is so packed. Thank you. I honestly feel really bad kind of taking it down and redoing it because the tank is looking super good right now. A couple corals that fell off. That is, I honestly forget the name of half these corals. It's a green Anacropora, but a couple guys fell off the mounts. But aside from that, that was the only really kind of negative, at least on the big tank. A-cans overall doing good. Not quite as fluffy as normal, but they're still all doing pretty good overall. Chalices, this needs some desperate frag, and if I look over here, you can see the Miami Hurricanes like overgrowing the Mummy Eye and some of the other ones, so that guy's gonna get a good fragrancy once I move it. Got some green Nephia there, and I might try and replace that with the purple one later. The clowns live in the purple, but green has a little more color pop to it, so I might swap that one out later. How's the reef bot doing? What are your thoughts? Space Invader, it doubled. Not quite double, but it is doing pretty good. So this guy has some crazy feeder tentacles on it. Alright, so you're asking about the reef bot. So, got the reef bot down here. Reef bot is still doing great. The one nice thing is it tells me, like, being away from home, it's kind of nice to get those updates being like, oh hey, this is your phosphate, this is your nitrate, this is your magnesium. So, it's kind of comforting to be able to get those results when you're away and you know everything's working. So no complaints there. I have, so I was gone for a little over 3 weeks. I have the Alcatronic and the ReefBot both share this waste container, and that held up pretty well during that time. Am I going to get the doser unit in October? I'm not sure yet, to be honest. We'll see. I'm still debating, you know, should I keep the calcium reactor, should I go back to dosing, what to do on the new tank. Overall, I do love how stable the calcium reactor is. It's like, Alexa, Tell Apex Fusion to turn on the stand lights.
I'm switching stand lights to on.
Alright, so Kimura pump. Overall, I like it. However, every few months, it gets a bit noisier. So I can hear a bit of a creak in here, which means I need to clean these wheels. So it requires a bit of maintenance, which is, I don't know, I guess it's not that bad, but it's silent for a couple months and then it needs a bit of love to become silent again. So that's one thing with the Kimura. Video's super yellow, so I got that filter on right now. And then I got the Vertex Calcium Reactor from it, so it's not super duper silent. So it would be nice if it was a little quieter. Dosing is a bit quieter overall because you have less pumps running. So I'm still kind of torn on the fence. Now with a calcium reactor, you get, it's cheap. Like I've had this tank up and running since January. Yes, Ecotech did put out a continuous pump. And if I do the calcium reactor on the new tank, I'm gonna get an Ecotech pump because that thing will be way quieter and controllable. For this, you can hear the little creaks right now. So I do have another replacement wheel and I've already placed the tubing on it, I think twice since I've had this. So overall, it's a good pump, but you have to maintain it every couple months. So it's good for 2 to 3 months and then it starts to be noisy or squeaky or something. And then you gotta give it a bit of love. So just something to consider. Same thing, the Vertex. So my Vertex reactor is not silent. I get a little bit of a rattle from the pump. It's not bad, but I know lots of people's, in comparing, there's a silence, so it bugs me a little bit. Coming over, I picked up, just take off all these panels. Alright, so I did pick up some more Brightwell bricks, and I'm using these to kind of pre-cycle them. That way when I set up the new tank, it's going to be instant cycle media. So I actually had 2 and I grabbed 2 more. So there's going to be tons and tons of good bacteria in this. So if I do all new rock, this is going to go a long way to kind of keep everything stable and help the new tank kind of jumpstart it. For my refugium, this thing is still growing like a beast. Absolutely love that little light. The only one funky thing, not sure from what, but I got a little bit of green, funky, slimy algae on top of my Chaeto. So probably today or tomorrow I'm going to harvest off this top layer, so it's all just clean, nice Chaeto again. That's the only one kind of funky thing I noticed since I've been away. Let's see, the Quantum 160 skimmer was probably filled up to about there, so there's about 3 weeks worth. That did pretty darn good. Clarice's plunking away, everything is way too dusty, needs some love. And got the Nano Reactor. The only downside of having frags in here is you do get a bit of algae on stuff. I need to make some more little kind of blockers. I just put one of them on here to stop it on that. So I used to get algae growing on the side from this one. The little AI flaps kind of stopped it, so now I started putting one on here to kind of block it that way too now. I was getting there. What's going on, Casey Reefs? So, big tank. Overall happy, minus a couple little tiny things. Got the little Midas Plenty. These guys make me happy. I don't know if you guys have them, but super bubbly little fish. And now the Nano AI flaps. The ReefDudes AI Light Shapers. Heck yes I do. Seymour, hopefully you're liking yours. I think you have some. Torches, got my little gold torch slowly growing. Growth in about a year. Yeah, overall it's pretty happy. Like, I honestly really do feel guilty changing this. I'm not gonna lie. Because it's minus the purple clove polyps that are plaguing this corner of the tank, everything's super happy. Now, let's over to the Nano. So, this, for whatever reason, is the Rainbow Monty. This guy was not happy when I came back. It was very pale and white. Could have been the polyps were out. Now it's starting to get more polyps, close the curtains a bit, starting to get some color back. So hopefully that one will bounce back and be fine. If you guys watched Monday's video, I filmed the Worldwide Corals, their new Winter Park store opening. So super cool, check that out for the day. I did buy myself, they had some sales on that day. I got this fancy little Zen Reef rag rack. So that will be going in the office tank later, so I just threw it in here for now. But this thing has a beast of a magnet, and yeah, this thing's solid. It has those cool little holders, because on this rack, sometimes snails and other creatures, they knock out frags, they land on the bottom. In fact, there's one right there, which is a bit of a pain. So if that will do. Now, just for fun, I'm also testing out a different light. I picked up this Noop Psych, or Noop Chic, however the heck you say it. Pretty affordable light, so I'm kind of curious how this one does. So I popped that one on the Nano for now, and yeah, I'm going to test it out for a little bit and kind of to see how it does. But overall, so far so good. You don't get the fancy app like you do with some of the other lights. It has like a little basic controller, but price, bang for your buck, so far so good. So overall, Noop Sync, is that how you say it? Okay. But yeah, so yeah. At least on the Nano, pretty good spread. Got nice colors out of it. And yeah. Rock flowers have slowly been starting to migrate around the tank. That's another thing I noticed since I've been gone. It's like they'll decide to move when I wasn't looking. So coming up, got one sharing some space with the other chaos there. Got another one, this green one sneaking up on the side of the back, on the back up there. So they're slowly kind of making their way up to wherever they want in the tank. None over here up on the side yet, but tons on the bottom. Sorry. I did sell a couple of like the bigger ones or like the least favorites. I'm trying to like window it down to just like my super favorite premium ones on it. But overall, just the colors out of this tank, I love it. So the interesting thing will be, do rock flowers sting zoas? Well, so that guy is right there with the utter chaos, and they seem absolutely fine together. So I'm gonna say that overall they're pretty happy. Like if you look at the one right beside the skirt, it's closed up, but the rest of them seem to be open and they seem to be fine. And they're in a few different spots in here. So overall, I don't really think it's a big issue. Now, as for the renovations for the future tank, so pop off the lens. So up here, you guys can see, if you watch the videos, I have two 2x6s. So that's for reinforcing the floor upstairs for the new tank. So I still have to do 2 more in here. So this is the upside of the wall. And I gotta do 2 more 2x6s in here. And then that's gonna kind of stabilize it. Come upstairs. So there used to be a wall right here. That's now gone. Used to be a wall over there, also gone. Got it all patched up and everything. Put in a bunch of pot lights, all that stuff. So this is slowly getting there. And ran power for the tank. So we got a nice lovely power wire here. And this is gonna be where the new tank's gonna go. I also drilled a couple little holes right here. And if we go right below, here's a laundry room. So I'm gonna set up an automatic water change type of system. So we'll be able to poke the wire straight through there. We'll have power directly for the tank. So we can either put a little plug box right on the wall, or maybe I'll just pull the wire and do the power right inside the stand. So we'll see what happens with there. But the railing's gone, we got power there, we got holes halfway down to go downstairs. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So be pins into the tank, right to the edge. So pretty stoked for that. I think it's gonna be cool. We had this big mirror too that we saved. It was on, there used to be a wall there and the mirror was there. So it was very painful, but we managed to save it. But I think it'll be cool because I'm sitting on the couch somewhere over here, it should reflect the tank. See, basically from multi angles. So I think that's gonna be kind of a cool way to do it. If you're walking up the stairs. So I'm trying to make it so the tank, you can see it from like everywhere in the house. So walk out of the office, boom, tank. Now this is extreme. I know I greens, look at this, boom. This is green, 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 green. So, you know, I do like live stream my green screen and guests and whatnot. So rather than setting up the screen every time, I just made a whole wall of green. That should be really cool. So I'll make it nice and easy for streams later. What salt are you using in elk level? I have used many, many, many salts. So currently, previously I was using Instant Ocean. At the current moment, I'm trying out Brightwell. In the past, I've also used Seachem, Instant Ocean, Reef Crystals, Brightwell. I've used tons, Red Sea. Honestly, which elk am I doing? I shoot for around 8.5 to 9. Hello from Scotland, hello. So I shoot for about 8.5 to 9 for my elk. Anywhere between 8 and 9 is really okay. Now, as for which salt, pick whichever salt matches the levels that you use in your tank. If you do a large water change and you have a salt with different parameters, it's gonna swing things. If you do a larger water change and the parameters are similar, then it's not an issue, right? So, okay, so you said 10.5. So if you pick a salt that is around 10 or 11, then you'll be good to go. You just don't want it to affect things. If you do a little water change, then it's not really a big issue, right? It's not gonna affect it. Looking good on the renos, thank you, thank you. So, okay, if you have 100 gallons and you do a 5-gallon water change. Those parameters aren't going to swing much. It's not really that big of a deal. If you have 100 gallons, you do a 50-gallon water change, that's going to affect it. So something to consider, right? So just pick a salt that is similar to what your tank is. Biggest thing, like brands aren't that big of a difference. With a caveat, if you dose your tank and you're supplementing on top of it, then it's again less of an issue. If you are relying on water changes for your supplementation, then you want to put a little more thought into the salt. And you having one that has some of those extra elements, that stuff in it, will help you a little more. So 2 different kind of ways to think about it. But overall, whatever you like to keep your tank at, pick a salt that matches it. Biggest advice. What else? I had another point I was going to lead into a second ago. But yeah, so as long as it's similar, fine. If you do little water changes, don't worry about it. I also see people ask all the time, how do I switch salts? Just do normal water changes. Like, I don't see any purpose in like trying to like swap out all your tank water and put in all new tank water with the new salt. Why? What's the point of it? You got 0 advantage to that. Just slowly do it. With every water change, do a water change using the new salt, and over time also like convert over. Not a big deal. That's 100% way I would do it. I don't know why anyone would do it any other way. Because anything else could be like a big change or shock, and what's the point of trying to like swap all of a sudden? No point. So just slowly ease it in as you go, and you'll be good. So I'm streaming from there we go, there's comments. Should I work if my pH rises to 8.57? I've never had pH that high. 8.3 something size, I've ever had it. I would say if you're using media, like a CO2 scrubbing media or something to raise your pH up, then that may be a point where maybe you want to use less of it. But if it's just that high on its own, I mean, I'd calibrate your probe and see how that is. But in general, lots of people strive for higher pH. I'd say you're pretty safe on that one. So what do you guys think? Should I do calcium reactor or dosing on the new tank? Kind of back and forth on some of these little things I'm trying to decide ahead of time. I also might start pulling out some of the rock soon and play with the big kid Lego. Go. You think dosing? You are welcome, Mark. Let's swap this one. So, dosing is smaller and somewhat quieter. It is more expensive though, to an extent. Calcium reactor costs are. What are you planning to use for an auto water change? So it will either use Apex dose pumps or the new Ecotech pumps, depending on if they're out by the time I set it up or not. What's going on? Carry reefer. So yeah, if I keep the calcium reactor, I'm definitely going to try and get an Ecotech pump to replace that, just because it's nice for a couple months and it goes noisy. Calcium reactor, but dose stuff like Acropower and Phyto. Yeah, I could do that. So if you look how much space is in here, this is running it for months and it's barely done anything. So it's not really, it just lasts so long off the media. Like, it's so cheap compared to dosing, where if I was dosing, I'd be refilling those jugs every few months. So once you own this, then it's cheap. Silicone hoses using for return. Yes, they are. Yes, these are silicone. I don't even really need them with the pump. So the theory with using silicone hoses is if there's any vibration from the pump, the silicone will kind of eat it up and you won't get any noise in your plumbing and your piping. So I honestly don't even need this with DC pumps, but I just did it for fun, just to overkill, because I'm obsessed with making a silent tank, which is why this guy's currently driving me nuts. So in one aspect, dosing was quieter because I didn't have these extra pump noises. This one isn't bad, but I do hear a little bit. What do you recommend for an affordable, reliable calcium reactor? So, Marine Depot, Aquamax brand has some that are fairly affordable. I've never personally used them, but I've seen lots of people use them. This one's a Vertex, and the other one I would probably look at if I was buying a new one would be Geo's. And if I did do a new one, I don't know if I can justify it, but Geo does do kind of custom ones, and I do that with like a Ecotech DC pump or something super silent on it, just because that AC one right now has a bit of a rattle to it and it drives me batty. What Ecotech? So I posted a little Instagram thing on, if you follow me on Instagram, at ReefDudes, and it's called the Versa. So they're coming out with their own dosing pump, and it looks really sweet, actually. It's just like one big kind of blocking dosing head, and you can have your single one, or you can do 4 of them in like a rail, so pretty cool. So for doing dosing, or doing auto water changes, dosing trace elements, dosing your two-part, like all that stuff. You can do a lot with this, so it's pretty cool. So definitely lots of good stuff there. And kind of excited for it because knowing them, like all the Ecotech equipment I've owned has been like super high quality. So I'm sure that pump is no different than the rest. All right, get the little clip back on. So if you guys have any other questions on any of this setup, let me know. There we go, cuts a little blue. Okay, so super cool. Mushrooms in the back, those guys have been growing like crazy too. Those are doing pretty good. Goni Islands, actually really loving this lately. Special setting to film. No. I'm actually just on my phone right now. So I film normally on my Sony camera. My office is a bit of a disaster day, and it's been a crazy day doing renos, so I decided to just use my cell phone for a quick stream today. Currently, I normally use the Pull-Up Lab. Seedream sent me some of these little filters, so that's what I'm currently using on the phone right now. It's a little tiny clip-on filter, and it works pretty well, as you can tell from right now. So, just kind of trying this one out. So far, I like it. It's tiny, fits in your pocket. Very portable. Pink lemonade's doing pretty good. The guy's encrusting like crazy. That was just a tiny little twig when I added it. So I kind of think the current plan might be, I don't know if you guys seen the frag tank that I bought a few months ago. It's been sitting in my shed ever since. Once I get the flooring done in the office, I'm gonna do the frag tank in the office, and I'm gonna attempt to fit all of this stuff into that tank. Now it's only a 60-gallon tank, so that's going to be highly questionable, but it's wide. It's 36 by 28 by 14. So I'm hoping I can get most of this into there. It's kind of the temporary tank during the transition and moving and setting up the new one. So if I can keep it up there, then I'll get the new one running shortly after, and things should be all good. Yeah, so all in all, I'd say the tank did pretty well without me. I was quite happy that nothing terribly bad happened. All the fish lived, everything was good. What is your favorite coral that's a newer purchase? My newest coral is probably the Space Invader Pectina, which is pretty cool. It is a bit of a bugger though, because this has some crazy long like sweepers that come out of it though. Great footprint for a frag tank. Thanks, Gabe. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be more of a display tank slash a bit of a frag tank, but my other plan is too, if I do a brand new scape, then all this stuff is going to attempt to fit it into the frag tank slash office tank. So it might be an office display. It's going to be way too cluttered in the beginning, but I get all my corals in there, everything in the office tank. It's going to keep everything alive and, you know, hopefully happy. And I get the new tank set up, let it run for a month or so, and then once I know everything's stable, everything's happy, then I can start moving over some coral. So then I can start breaking off branches and transplanting them in the new tank. If things are happy, break off a few more branches and kind of start easing the coral into the new system. Now, the other benefit of this is if I still have this all in the office, the coral will grow it again. So I can use it to make future frags without having to touch my display. So I can leave my display alone. I mean, obviously I can prune it if I want to, like, you know, bonsai it or something needs a bit of love. But then everything can still be basted in this tank, in the office tank, and it can slowly grow. So it'll be kind of cool to have a way to get different frags, or a way to grow stuff out, or like a backup colony of all your corals. So something ever happened, one STN for some reason, I would still have another source for it. So like that's gonna be a really cool way to do it. I'm still very wondering how the heck I'm gonna fit all this and all that into the tank though. So it's gonna be a lot going into one tank, but we'll see. I think it'll be a good plan. Come and I'll pick them up. A little far away, Gao. You got a big pond in the middle of us. But yeah, so I think the frag tank will be pretty cool. I don't know, if you guys have any other cool ideas or suggestions, I'm still kind of half working my game plan. I think I'm going to just keep using my light bar. I don't think I would trust this bolted to the wooden stand. And so I'm probably going to try bolting to the wall and just letting it float above it, and I'll butt the tank up against it. So I think that will work out. What was that? Is there a way, how do I get the comments back? Is there a way to run calcium reactor safer than another as far as fail safes? calcium reactors themselves, I'd say they're pretty safe. If for some reason it dumped a bunch of CO2 into the tank, or there's a leak, I mean, that could be an issue for you. But in general, they're more or less set and forget it. Now, with mine, I know Randy on BRS, he always talks about pulling through the reactor. I had a hard time getting mine to be silent when doing that, so I went back to pushing through it. That's kind of worked for me. But in theory, if you're pulling, if there was ever a leak, once it pulled over that volume of the reactor, then it would stop pulling from the tank and you'd probably be fine. So, in theory, that way is safer. However, I don't know, I just had a really hard time getting rid of all the air doing that, so I never fully did it that way. Yeah, I think this guy is just getting too much light, so I think he needs to be moved down lower because he's paling out. He's supposed to be orange, now he's pretty pasty right now. And yeah, does anyone know a good way to kill blue clove polyps? Another good question. I know you can use calc paste and a few things, but I don't know if that's going to annoy everything else around it. Yeah, so someone had to put their calcium reactor in a bin or tray. Yeah, so definitely. You could put it in a Tupperware container with a leak sensor if you have some kind of an alarm or something to alert you. If you have an Apex, I mean, did a video a while ago on DIY leak detectors. Or you could buy the legit ones, or there's little water alarms you can get, different things. What size aquarium are you upgrading to? What size are you currently running? So this one is, you know, 160-ish, 155, 160, somewhere in that kind of realm. The new one's going to be the Waterbox Peninsula, and that one is, I think it's 169, 170, so it's not a huge upgrade. It's going to be like within 20 gallons. Biggest difference is on the back. My tank is 6'1", including the overflow area, where the water box will be about that big, but internal overflow. So I'll get a little more display, but I'll have that little box inside. So a bit trade-off. Thin clothes are annoying, but it'll stop SPS from crossing into each other. Yeah, so that's true. There's another guy, Jimmy Pop Carlson. He did some videos on his, and he actually uses them to prevent the SPS and acros from fighting, which I thought was kind of interesting. So it does stop them from crossing into each other, but at the same time, you know, I kind of wish some of these corals would base out a bit more, and I question if maybe they won't because the polyps are all around it. So that's a bit of a trade-off, but I still think that I will try and get rid of them, or just do 100% new rock in the new tank, you know, or maybe I'll use a couple of these pieces over here that aren't plagued with the clove polyps and then go there. Or I'll use 100% brand new rock, we'll see. But either way, that's kind of while I'm cycling all the Brightwell bricks, just to give me that buffer when I get everything into the new tank. And hopefully it'll be all good. Alright guys, fairly quick stream today. I do have to get back to work. Gotta go do renos, gotta finish painting, and slowly do stuff so we can actually move in. And I gotta start moving all the tanks and all that fun stuff. So, bit of a quicker one today, but I want to do something because I've been away the last few weeks. So, yeah. Thanks for joining me today, guys. If you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up as always. Always appreciate you guys. If you have any special requests for, you know, next week's live stream, let me know in the comments of the video afterwards, and I'll see you guys in the next video.